Ever noticed how fragile you feel when people's opinions cut too deep? When the silence of someone you cared about feels like a verdict against your worth? Maybe you've tried to stay strong, but every criticism slices into you. Every rejection feels like proof that you're not enough. You tell yourself to stop caring, but deep down, you know you still do. Here's the truth most people never want to face. The world doesn't reward the most kind, or the most giving, or even the most talented. It rewards the untouchable. The people who cannot be broken by gossip, by envy, by betrayal. And you, if you're honest with yourself, know that every time you bend to please, every time you shrink your voice to avoid conflict, every time you let someone else's view of you dictate your own, you give away power. Power you may never get back. This video isn't about not caring. That's shallow advice. This is about becoming untouchable, psychologically, spiritually, and even historically, through principles that men like Machiavelli, Nietzsche, and Plato whispered about centuries ago. And if you stay with me until the end, you may realize that the person you were meant to be is someone even you have been too afraid to meet. Let's start with the pain. Think of the last time you felt invisible, a message left unread, a friend who suddenly pulled away, a room where your words barely landed. Do you remember how your stomach sank? How your mind started whispering, maybe I don't matter, maybe they're right. This is the trap. This is the prison Nietzsche called the herd instinct, that deep unconscious need to belong, to be validated, to be seen. And it is the leash around your neck. Because here's what most never realize. The same instinct that makes you feel loved also makes you weak. The herd can crown you today and crucify you tomorrow. Plato warned us of this in the Republic. He spoke of the cave where people are chained, mistaking shadows for truth. But here's the catch. Those shadows aren't just false beliefs about the world. They're false beliefs about yourself. You mistake the reflection others give you, their approval, their applause, their silence, for reality. But it's not reality. It's shadow play. Machiavelli once wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both." People hear this and recoil. It sounds cold, cruel. But strip away the brutality, and the lesson is clear. Dependency on being loved is the quickest way to be destroyed. When you hinge your identity on affection, you're gambling with your soul. Because love, at least in its popular form, is conditional. It can vanish. Fear, or better said, respect, lasts longer. But here's the twist Machiavelli never admitted. The greatest power is not to be feared or loved, but to be untouchable. To carry yourself in such a way that no external force, no praise, no insult, no silence, can add or subtract from who you are. Let me tell you a story. There was a young man in Florence, centuries ago. He spent his days painting, writing poetry, desperate to impress the wealthy patrons of the city. Every time he wasn't praised, he sank into despair. He drank, he lashed out at friends, his art suffered. One night he overheard two men laughing about him in the square. That moment shattered him. He didn't leave his home for weeks. Now imagine if that same man had understood this, that their laughter was not about him at all, but about the shadows they carried within themselves. That their mockery was projection, not truth. Had he known that, he could have kept painting, he could have kept building, he could have become untouchable. How many of your own dreams have been buried because of a laugh, a comment, or a silence? Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people will never truly like you. Not because you're broken, but because you remind them of themselves. Your courage makes them feel their cowardice. Your passion reminds them of their apathy. Your presence forces them to confront the weight of their own existence. Bonhoeffer, who resisted the Nazis and paid with his life, once said, "Silence in the face of evil is itself evil. But silence in the face of judgment? That is freedom." Every time you resist the urge to explain yourself, to justify, to beg for understanding, you tighten the armor. You become untouchable. So how do you get there? How do you reach this state where nothing can break you? First, you must confront the truth of suffering. Life is not meant to be comfortable. Nietzsche said to live is to suffer, to survive is to find some meaning in the suffering. The moment you stop running from discomfort and instead use it as fuel, you change. Think about the strongest people you admire. Did they become that way because life spared them, or because life crushed them and they refused to stay crushed? Second, you must kill the addiction to being liked. This is the hardest. You may not realize it, but most of your choices, from what you wear, to the tone of your texts, to the risks you avoid, are made to be liked. When you strip that away, you will be left with something raw, terrifying, and beautiful, who you actually are. And some people will walk away, let them. It is not a tragedy, it is proof you are finally living. Third, you must create more than you consume. Because here's the secret, consumers drown in shadows. Creators cast them. When you write, build, paint, speak, act, you are shaping the cave itself. You are no longer chained. Imagine yourself 1 year from now. You speak less, but when you do, the room goes silent. You don't chase love, yet people are drawn to you because you carry something they've never tasted, freedom. You don't crumble when someone mocks you. You don't inflate when someone praises you. Both slide off you like rain off stone. This is not numbness, it's clarity. You are no longer reacting to the shadows. You are standing in the sun. The paradox is this: when you stop needing love, you become more lovable. When you stop chasing power, you attract it. When you stop begging for respect, people give it without hesitation. Why? Because you've done what almost no one dares. You've severed the leash. You've declared, I will not be defined by you. I will not be broken by you. I am mine. So let me ask you, what would happen if, starting tomorrow, you stopped chasing validation? If every silence, every criticism, every betrayal became proof that you are walking the right path? Would you finally be free, or would you crumble? The truth is, you won't know until you try. And maybe, just maybe, your entire life has been leading to that test. So I'll leave you with this. There are two kinds of people: those who are chained in the cave, watching shadows, begging for approval, and those who stand in the firelight, unbent, untouchable, shaping reality itself. Which one are you becoming?